Please, please, God told me to ask y'all for help. I need your help. I need your help. I can't do it alone. I'm overwhelmed. I'm going crazy. And God, I beg you, I beg you, I beg you. So I'm fighting this fight, and to other people, it's an impossible. It's not impossible. It's going to happen.
While Diddy used to live a life of luxury, his experience in jail has been anything but lavish.
There's really no deal that the U.S. Attorney's Office can offer, and it's certainly not one that Diddy will accept. It would involve decades in federal prison. We're talking about mandatory minimum sentences of 10 years for both the charges and so we know that Diddy has fought charges before. There were state charges, there were gun-related, the nightclub shooting with J-Lo, but he's going to dig in his heels, and this case is going to trial. So if you're prosecutors, you really want to make sure that your evidence is bulletproof before you go down that route.
And you won't believe some of the wild stories and rumors surrounding his time behind bars so far. For those unfamiliar, Diddy was arrested in September 2024 and charged with racketeering and trafficking. And since then, he has spent his days living in the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, New York.
The Metropolitan Detention Center, the only federal jail in New York City, is known for violence, poor conditions, and a string of celebrity detainees. And Diddy's attorneys want him out. NBC News' Yasmin Youssian has more.
From his $48 million Miami mansion to hell on earth where chaos reigns. Just some of the words used to describe the Metropolitan Detention Center where Sean Diddy Combs is now being held without bail after pleading not guilty to and racketeering charges.
He's tried to get out on bail multiple times, but each time his request has been denied. With Diddy recently withdrawing his bail appeal, it looks like he'll remain in jail until his trial begins, which is scheduled to start on May 5th, 2025. Over his few months in jail, there has been a ton of speculation about his experiences and what has been going on. On the one hand, there is plenty of talk about how he's receiving no special treatment during his stay and is treated just like any other inmate. For example, former reality TV star Timothy Smith, who served time in federal prison for trafficking illegal substances, said that Diddy's wealth won't help him get any special privileges in jail.
For 17 long years, Timothy Smith has struggled alone with the consequences of his darkest time. It's a tale of helicopters, prisons and pain that the 51-year-old is finally ready to share, a chapter he kept from MAF's producers. Why did you keep this a secret for so long?
Oh, look, you know, it's something I'm not proud of. I'm definitely not proud of it. But it doesn't define who I am, and, you know, I'm not the same person I was 17 years ago.
He said that the prison and jail system is so limited that even uber-rich people don't often get extra privileges or benefits. According to him, Diddy's status means nothing. Timothy added that you get a few basics, but if you try to stockpile and hold on to too many things, you may get your space raided and the authorities will take everything. He also added that inmates don't get much time on the phone, and that Diddy may not even have access to radios or TV where he's being kept. But on the other hand, there are also others claiming that he is actually getting special treatment that not all other inmates receive.
Certainly, there could be staff who admire him, sycophants who want to kiss up to him in predictable fashion because he's a celebrity. There will be some prisoners totally enamored by him. Some won't care. So you could expect at some point, prisoners could offer, it could be we see iPhones that are very pervasive inside of these prisons. It's been a huge problem for the Federal Bureau of Prisons. So it's also going to ensure that he doesn't, Oscar Wilde said he could resist anything but temptation. If there's temptation presented to him and he gives in, what does that do? It could exacerbate his struggles because the government can say he can't even control himself in a lockdown environment. That's why he's not free, Your Honor. So temptations eventually will make its way to him, potentially from staff and prisoners. And if he cares most about his family and getting the best outcome possible, it's going to require him to say, no, thank you.
One such person making these claims is Larry Levine, a former prison inmate and current prison consultant who works with defendants and inmates to help prepare them for life in prison.
There are sentenced inmates there. They're called cadre inmates. They don't have to be white-collar inmates, but they're doing maintenance on the building. And the problem, why there's a lot of violence there, they have housing units. And they're mixing bank robbers with white-collar people. And this is why Diddy, he can't go into a regular housing unit because somebody will take him out for sure.
In an interview, Larry said that his sources are saying that Diddy is getting special privileges like the opportunity to shower more frequently than other inmates. And he may even be getting food snuck into him by jail staff.
So the news is that he's off watch, and then there's other talk that he's getting more privileges, like more showers and better food. What are you hearing?
While you're in the SHU, you really only get 3 showers a week. And my understanding from my source says that they're letting him shower almost every day, which could cause some problems with the other inmates as far as jealousy and special privileges. And people in the SHU, they have an abbreviated commissary list. So this list that all the media is showing everywhere, he can buy this, he could buy that, that's BS. It's a special limited commissary list just for the SHU. But apparently some of the staff is sneaking food into him.
Also, there are even rumors that Diddy has groupies in jail. According to someone who used to be an inmate at the same facility that Diddy is currently in, Diddy allegedly has several inmates who always want to be around him, and some that often do things for him, like make his bed. But whether or not Diddy is actually receiving special treatment and has people doing things for him, there's no doubt that the experience behind bars is a dark time for him. He was used to huge mansions and getting whatever he wanted at any time.
Savage! I'm a savage! Oh! I'm a savage! Whatever I want, I'm going to get! Whatever I want, I have to get!
But now he's forced to live in a small cell or unit, which is definitely a major change for him. Of course, transitioning to a life in jail isn't easy for anyone, but for someone with as much wealth and power as Diddy, having that all stripped away from him must make for a harder adjustment period. But while there are lots of difficult parts of living in prison, according to his legal team, the biggest issue is apparently the food. His lawyer, Mark Agnifilo, recently talked about his condition and how he's doing in jail, and he specifically said that the food is probably the roughest part of it all.
He believes he's innocent. I believe he's innocent.
Diddy's attorney revealing the worst thing about jail for the rapper. According to People magazine, his lawyer said, quote, "I think the food's probably the roughest part of it."
The meals are supposed to be nutritionally balanced and edible. He would receive 3 meals per day. Very basic meal expectations.
Diddy's new diet going on more than 3 weeks behind bars. The New York Post reports he was served Swedish meatballs after pleading not guilty to his charges for and racketeering.
He will have his meals delivered to him. He would not go to a dining hall in a high-rise like the MDC Brooklyn. The correctional officer on the unit delivers them to the detainee or the inmate.
The facility provides regular meals, but they're a far cry from the cuisine that Diddy was likely used to eating while he was a free man. Instead of high-end meals, Diddy is allegedly having to settle for a menu that includes cereal, eggs, beef tacos, and other relatively basic meal choices. Of course, there's a commissary where he's able to buy things like honey buns, cashews, coffee, protein bars, grits, and various other things. In addition to not being fond of the food in general, there are also rumors that he's unsure about eating jail food at all, as he's afraid that someone could potentially try to poison him. There's no doubt that he's a high-profile individual and is definitely known throughout the prison, so it's not overly surprising that he's potentially worried about something like this happening. Alarm bells went off in the media recently when it was reported that Diddy was taken to a hospital late at night, and rumors started swirling that he was having a medical emergency or had been attacked in jail. However, it was later revealed that the reason for the hospital visit was to get an MRI, as Diddy reported that his knee was giving him problems and he wanted to get it checked out. In addition to his physical health, there is also speculation that spending time in jail is hurting Diddy's mental health. In the Trial of Diddy podcast, Larry Levine added that his sources say that there's someone who comes to visit him multiple times a day to monitor his mental health and ensure everything is okay. Also, while you might think that because Diddy is rich and famous, he gets to spend time in a cushy jail while he awaits trial, that couldn't be further from the truth. He's currently kept in the MDC in Brooklyn, which is a jail that houses prisoners of all different security levels and holds well over 1,000 inmates at any given time. It also has an incredibly poor reputation, as some even reference it as the worst federal detention center in the country. Some people also claim that it's infested with rats. In addition to Diddy, several other high-profile individuals have also been held there at one time or another, including R. Kelly, Sam Bankman-Fried, Luigi Mangione, and Martin Shkreli. But despite these high-profile people, the conditions of the jail are allegedly subpar, and it has received terrible reviews from people who used to stay there.
He says for someone used to a life of luxury like Diddy, prison life is a severe shock.
You have a desk, you have a plastic chair, you have your bed with a 1.5-inch mattress, no pillow, and you also have a locker. So you basically have 3 feet by 5 feet to move around. So you have a basic 15 square feet. It is a horrible, horrible place.
Diddy's lawyers were so eager to keep him out of jail, they offered his palatial $48 million home in Miami Beach and his private jets as bail. Today, they are even offering to restrict female visitors to his homes, except for his mother, daughters, and the mothers of his children if he is released.
For example, in 2019, the jail suffered a power outage that left inmates in almost complete darkness for a week. Not only that, but this was during a cold spell in the Northeast, which left prisoners stuck in frigid conditions. As a result of the inhumane conditions these inmates were forced to live through, a lawsuit was filed. Eventually, the Bureau of Prisons settled the suit and paid 1,600 different inmates, a total of $10 million. The jail also has frequent lockdowns, unsanitary conditions, and is understaffed. Despite there being over 1,000 inmates to watch and take care of, it also allegedly has poor and delayed access to medical care. And it even has a reputation for being a relatively violent place as well. There have been many fights and brawls over the years, and several inmates have passed away due to participating in these fights, or after being attacked by others. However, with MDC being the only federal jail in New York City, there are not many other options for the inmates housed there. As for how much longer Diddy will remain in this jail, it depends on the results of his upcoming high-profile trial. His trial is set for May 5th, 2025, so he'll remain locked up until then, and likely throughout the trial as well.
High-powered defense attorneys for Sean Diddy Combs are fighting back against the federal government, and in a major way. Actually, so major that if they are successful, this whole case, this whole criminal prosecution could be upended. And that is crazy to think about, considering this trial is right around the corner, May 5th, 2025. But to be more specific, what the defense is asking for right now is to make sure a future jury doesn't see a lot of evidence that it says the government gathered through improper search warrants. And we are hearing all kinds of new bits of information, including who was interviewed, whether they were able to corroborate the claims the government is making. This is a big deal. Now, as you know, Sean Combs, behind bars in New York, facing charges of racketeering conspiracy, through forced fraud, transportation to engage, and currently locked up at the Metropolitan Detention Center until his trial in May. And we first learned that Combs was likely under investigation when agents with the Department of Homeland Security raided 2 of his houses, one in Los Angeles, the other in Miami. This was back in March of 2024. They brought out boxes and boxes of potential evidence. At the time, Combs hadn't been arrested or charged yet, but just a few months before that, in November of 2023, Combs' ex-girlfriend, Cassandra Ventura, filed an explosive lawsuit claiming Combs abused her mentally, physically, during their tumultuous 10-year relationship. Combs ended up settling that lawsuit just one day after it was filed for an unknown sum of money, but the damage was already done. Ventura's allegations, they were out there in the public. A wave of other civil lawsuits followed, and then in September of 2024, Combs was officially arrested at the Park Hyatt Hotel in New York City. His lawyer said he'd come to New York to turn himself in, but the police arrested him a day early. And according to authorities, Combs, reportedly being under investigation for criminal behavior, hadn't stopped him from allegedly having in his hotel room. And as I said, Combs has been locked up. He's been denied bond ever since. Combs offered up a huge bail package worth millions of dollars, but the government argued there was evidence that Combs was trying to influence, maybe intimidate witnesses, even from behind bars, and having him on house arrest, even with private security, it would be a risk.
After the trial, what happens to Diddy depends on the results. Diddy faces anywhere from 15 years to life in prison if he's found guilty of his alleged crimes. If he's found not guilty, he may be released and be able to return to the lavish lifestyle that he has come to expect over the last few decades. But if he's found guilty, he'll likely be moved out of the jail and into a prison to serve his sentence, whatever that ends up being. While the conditions may not be as bad as at MDC, you can be sure a prison will still be an incredibly challenging and difficult place to live for Diddy. So, what do you guys think of the various statements, rumors, and stories about Diddy's experience behind bars? Do you feel bad about the difficult conditions he's being forced to live in? Or do you feel that it's justified due to his alleged crimes and misconduct? And how do you feel about him potentially getting special treatment behind bars? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.